Hooray! Okay. Good morning for anyone who watches this and is currently on live. I am just about to go live. I am live. I am going to knoll my tools today, so I thought it'd be nice to have some people along to watch. So I am going to set up tripod with my phone on. It's my first attempt at a phone base going live. I don't know how well it's going to work. It's a little bit windy outside today, so this is probably going to be more about visuals than about anything else. Oops. Put me out onto the patio. So this is my patio table, and what I've done is to mark out the sizes of my toolboards inside the Tinkerage, and now I'm going to get the box of tools out, drawer tools, and try and knoll them as much as possible. It could take a while, although I have about an hour before I'm going to stick some alarms on. Well, not stick some alarms on, but an alarm's going to go off, and that's when I need to start cooking Sunday lunch. So we're having Sunday lunch today rather than Sunday dinner. Hey, shop dog. Right. My first box of tools. Morning, Steve. Hi, anyone else comes along? I can't see the comments on my phone, so I have put my computer on with the on my other channel, my personal channel, and I'm going from there. Yeah, I'm not sure where everything's going to go at the moment, so I'm just literally going to start laying things out, try and get a rough idea. And there are some things that I'm just going to have to find other homes for, things like I've got to try and remember where each one of these is. I've numbered them. But I've got to try and remember where I've... So for example, there's the far right, opposite the door, next to it, next to it, next to it. That's the outside of the door that I put on last week. That's the inside of the door. That's the one that's on the wall. That's next to it. So I've got to think about how things are going to be stored. Things like my coping saws, coping saw. I need to start a hammer collection wall somewhere, I think. I just need to think about how many chisels. I seem to have stack loads of chisels. These wooden handled ones were my father's. Racing bit, don't use that very often. Covered in cobwebs and surface rust. It's a relatively new one, so it will take ordinary bits as well, and to ratchet. That's actually quite useful. Now, clamps go in there. Right, most of the rest of this one is just bits and bobs of junk and things like, that's the feet off a workmate. They kept falling off, so I took them off. I need to put a little self-tapping screw in them. Bench dogs from a workmate. Fairy lights. Now, if you're a science teacher watching this, fairy lights have the most uniform brightness of any bulbs out there. A lot of ordinary bulbs, if you buy them for science experiments, the brightness varies massively. And so I had a set go kaput once, and I took them into my class and we cut them up and we tested every single one of them. I'd already tested each bulb, checked the bulbs to see which was broken, checked the fuse bulb, and that didn't make any difference. So we took them in my class, we cut them up, we bared the wires, the ends, and then we tested each socket. Once we knew we had some good working bulbs, we tested each socket and discovered that 2 or 3 of the sockets were kaput, literally just no good, just poor quality manufacture. So the rest I've kept for a very long time, perfect for doing kind of parallel and series circuits and having equal brightness. This is the next one. This is a heavy one. Vice grips. I like having vice grips handy, but I don't use them that often. I'm tempted to make a chisel holder or holder of chisels. Maybe in a couple, two different, one behind each other. Alright, small claw hammer. Actually, I think that might go in just an odd place. Adjustables. I need adjustables handy very often. So, yesterday was just a glorious day. Today it is breezy, which is great because the washing's out. I'm hoping the sun will, it's trying to peek out. Hands are already cold. I've almost tempted to put some latex gloves on so I warm my hands up, but I don't like putting those sorts of gloves on. I might use one, actually, yeah, I might just put my cheapo working gloves on. Should be dexterous enough. Jars not going back up. I've put one lot up, the other lot I'm going to look to empty. This is I don't know how old this is, probably at least 20 years old. And it's nice to have that kind of spotlight when you're working on things sometimes, but I'm just not sure. The problem with these lights, you can wall mount them, but when you wall mount them, it's like us. If you put your heels against the bottom of a wall and stand upright, that's fine. The moment you try and lean forward, you fall over because your centre of mass goes outside the base of your feet. And these are pretty much the same. You can have that against the wall, but it sticks out, like your bum sticks out, and there's just no way around that. So in order to work this, you're going to have to put it on a block, probably about 4 inches released, in order for it to go out. Before I had it mounted on a shelf, and that was okay, but that shelf's gone. So not sure what I'm going to do with that. Now that's that's the bracket. I don't know about you, but I've just got pot after pot after pot full of bits. Or cheapo socket sets. I think I need to have a big clear out of sockets, but even more. It's what to do with them. It pains me to throw things away. I could take it to, there's a new metal scrap yard that opened up in town. I could take it there. Possibility of taking it to make a central and see if people want them and see if they turn them into something else. People like Matt from Pumpworks, could he weld them together and make some new creature from them? Yeah, maybe I'll send him a message and see what he does. Soldering irons. I've got, I think, 3 soldering irons. They're all pretty much rubbish. One day I'm going to get a decent quality, one of those nice USB TS100 kind of controllable heat. These just don't get hot enough. They're not hot enough quick enough. Multimeter. I've got to find a way. I've got at least three multimeters. I'm going to probably put one in the house with the box with the Arduino. This is one my brother-in-law gave me years ago. It's quite a nice one, and that's something I need to make like a holder for it. Because normally it just lives on the bench and then it gets just pushed to the side, and that's no good. I've got a lot of room on this one. This is the one where I'm probably going to have my screwdrivers and pliers. So I'm pretty much going to probably leave this one empty for the moment. And that's something else I've got to find another place for as well. My laser level. It's one of those things. Bought this in a sale many years ago. Don't use it very often. Bosch PCL1. I don't use it very often, but boy, when you need a good long level vertical line, these are fantastic. Now I don't have a super long level. My longest level I think is about 20 inches. I don't have a nice 6 foot level. I have a 2.5 meter long piece of aluminium that works quite nicely with the level, but that just lives down the garden, and I might turn it into a fence actually for like a router table, or even improve the fence on my table saw. But if you want a horizontal line and you've never used a laser level, get one. So worth the money. Got that in a sale, so it's quite cheap, and they've come down a lot in price now. And Aldi and Lidl every now and again have them as well. I don't know what they're like. You've got to use fresh batteries though. Batteries start to dim or lose power. They're fine for anything else, and it will stop working. I had a panic about that last time I went to use it. Shouldn't just dump scraps of wood in. Bits. Make a little holder. Hold those. Little size. Barbecue lighter. My blowtorch doesn't have a starter. I use it for that. It's also got my Pringles rocket. Not sure about that. You can check out Physics Mad. So actually, I think that can go there. Orography tool. That was a present. I think that was my Father's Day or birthday present last year from my kids. It's not great, but I'm looking yesterday. I found some bits of aluminium and a couple of small bits of brass. And I'm kind of hoping that I might be able to make a branding iron. So probably using something like a Dremel, And then I'm going to also explore as to whether I can, rather than using the blowtorch, attach it to this iron. Now, because I put the monitor in for the computer on one of the walls, it does mean I'm down some space. This is one of the things I want to change. In fact, I'm tempted with the board that's directly from my power saw to put a door on there. I already talked about that. To have things like my router bits in there. Then I've also got these little sockets to go straight into a drill or hex driver, and they're really quite useful. So I might put those on the outside, so this board might get redone. So I'm probably going to have two, instead of one there, I'm going to probably have two, one for the inside. So I'm going to put that on the inside. Hand vise, nice little tool sometimes for holding things. Picked that up at a car boot sale, flea market, if any Americans are watching. Descaling hammer, somebody said it was, for boilers. I'm not totally sure. Maybe when I clean it up, there might be a maker's mark on it. But it's like a pin hammer and then a cross pin hammer. I might have to build, I don't know where I can put it, but I might have to build like a hammer rack. Now. This was my bit storage. This was directly above my main working bench between the two drills. And this was a set of bits. It's got lots of unusual bits, security bits. It was given to me with one of those little pistol style 3-volt drivers. Christmas present, probably about 12, 14 years ago. And some of the bits aren't great, but some of them have been really useful. But I got rid of the case, and I made the holes. The holes need to be ever so slightly bigger. But it takes up a lot of room, much more room than the case did. So a few weeks ago, I was in, it must have been Aldi, and they had a bit set, slightly better quality bits, just a hand driver with a ratchet on it. So I bought a new case, and it was a really nice case. So I've got that, and that's just going to slot onto the side. But I've been looking for my countersinks, which are also there. That little spanner, socket wrench, this little beauty, had that when I was about 12. No, let's have a look. How old would I be? About 14, with a remote control car. A Tamiya Grasshopper, which had it built from scratch, and I really love doing that. So I'm only going to need a couple of those off here. Countersinks. And those ones. Again, I'm going to go through and check. I don't need duplicates of security bolts that I use once every 5 years, and there's some that I've never used. So I'm probably going to go through. There are some ones that are useful to have multiples of. Yeah, Phillips. There's a couple of Phillips there, some posi drives. You can never have enough positive drive 2s and positive drive 3s and positive drive 1s, particularly 2s and 3s. And what do I do with them? You know, do I just turn it in for scrap? Do I give them to someone? And is that someone that's just going to have a pile of bits lying around for the next 300 years? I do have an anvil, not quite really up for forging anything on a large scale. Bought this when I was doing quite a lot of silver jewellery work, and it's surprisingly useful. I think I might go out with try and set one board up with just marking up tools. And I may have to keep a tool drawer. I've got the next one I'm going to be bringing out is a tool drawer. And it's where I dumped most of the tools that were on the back of the door. And I've still got quite a lot of tools still on the one wall of the Tinkerage. These are clippers for going through armoured cable or thick heavy duty cable. Again, I don't do it very often, but yeah, to get a new pair, it's not something I would want to go out and do, knowing that I'd throw the pair away. So one thing I'm thinking of is just having a toolbox with things like this. The need once every 5 years for an hour or two, if that, and just put them into a nice sealed toolbox with a nice seal on it, so it's not going to pick up too much rust, and just put it down in the shed. Probably not quite one for hand tool rescue. This is a record Stilson wrench, and it was in this condition when I can remember this back to when I was probably about 5. It's one of my dad's tools. I don't think I've ever used it. Maybe I should, but I tend to use kind of fixed spanners or pipe wrenches. So I might. Still got a bunch of his tools sitting in the Tinkerage on the side, and I might put it with those. And I've been thinking of maybe making like a shadow frame to put things in. So I might do that with that. I mean, it's still a very workable tool. It's a really nice tool. It's in pretty good condition. A little bit of surface rust on the handle, but hardly any on the body itself. Knurling's a bit, not sure if it's worn or clogged up with grease. It's just a little bit clogged up with surface rust and grease. Not sure what there for the moment. Tin snicks. Had these with my toolkit when I started my No, it wasn't for that. When I bought my first car, I was determined to try and get into doing as much car work as possible myself. Something I never really did. I never really had the space to store tools really. So often they've just been stored in the boot of the car, and there's limited how much you can carry. Quite a few years old. The only thing I ever used them for, if I remember that I've got them, is crimping. They do have a nice little gauge for kind of different gauge. One of those items that I really want to get hold of at some point: a screw gauge, metric and imperial, and a bolt gauge. They seem to be so expensive when you look on kind of online. I thought maybe just making my own, just getting hold of enough the right size bolts and screws, and as a wire stripper it was okay, but not great. Not one to get rid of. Barbecue lighter. Pincers. Pincers may end up going with my pliers. Somebody was saying to me the other day online about how was I able to skip between imperial and metric so quickly. And because things like this. This is a half of a 12-inch ruler. You can see it's got angles marked on it as well, but if you can see that, and it's all inches on the back, but on the front it was inches and millimeters and centimeters. And when I was in school, that was fairly standard. Everything that did measurements had both on it. And yeah, this is a nice piece of, I think they use deal or box for things like rulers, and it's a nice bit of wood. It's kept its edge quite well. It's still useful sometimes. This is another blast from the past as well. This is an Archimedes drill, which if you've never seen one, great tool. You literally just uses as a barrel push. Not particularly sharp. It's God is child friendly. I had this when I was with my fret saw. This fret saw and this Archimedes drill came with a marquetry set, and I had it as a Christmas present, probably when I was about 10, 11 or 12, and so you just push down and it'll drill a hole through for you to put the fret saw blade in. I was quite excited when I got that. Sometimes something like this, I think, would I ever use it anymore? Do I ever use it? I'm trying to remember the last time I did actually use it. It has been used though. I have used it since we've been in this house 10 years this year. I have used it, but it's not something I would use very often. More socket sets. I've got to improve my socket storage. This is quite useful. This is one of these spring-loaded sets, and it's quite a nice way of keeping sockets, but sometimes they're a real pain to get off, and so I don't like that for that reason. So I need to find another way of doing that. It is something I like to have handy. and I've probably got, I know I've got at least 4, what would it be? That's 1/4 inch, I think, isn't it? That's pretty good. Yeah, that's 1/4 inch. And it says up 3/8, I think. I've got the largest size, I've got at least 3. Metric and imperial, they're useful. I've still got machines that have got imperial. I think I need to go through all my sockets and make sure I've just got one set. The spanners, I want to kind of do one of those biggest to smallest type. I've got such an assortment of spanners. Another possibility is to put them on the outside of the board, or possibly on the inside. Actually, yes, that might be a. I don't want them tucked away. This board is one that's going to go away. That's going to go there. I just have this funny feeling it's going to start raining because I've got all these tools out. It's just going to start pouring down. All around to bits. Imperial Allen keys. Ah. Now that's handy. That's another thing. It came with a fret saw. This is a wing nut spanner. Can't remember what the other side is for because it doesn't fit. But that's a wing nut spanner, and that is just so useful sometimes. All the spanners. So 1.5 pound ball peen head, hammerhead that I had. Can't make out the mark on there. That was in a box of tools that I got from my dad, and possibly it was one that he got from his dad. I'm not sure. I suspect maybe it's not quite that old, but it's certainly one that he picked up. And I made an attempt at planishing the flat side. I may have another go at that. Also semi-polished up the ball. Use it for shaping jewellery. Carabiner, I knew I had one somewhere. I'm going to put that. No, I took it back in the house. Talking about tourniquets last week and first aid. Carabiner is perfect for a tourniquet because you can grip it, get it underneath something, grip it, turn. You don't have any sharp edges, and once you've turned it enough, you can use something else, to another piece of cord or something, to hold that in place to stop it from untwisting. Left over from my climbing days. I'll have to go there. Right, drawer. Right, back again. You get that feeling it's not all going to fit. Probably most of this one is going to be made up with storage for screwdrivers. But I think I'll be having a clear out and just keeping my best screwdrivers. It's a nice little Stanley, rather than getting into sort of long spaces. Studies. Files, I'm going to increase the number of tube slots that I've got. So most of the files I think will get stored horizontally. This is the only piece of snap-on kit that I have, and will probably only be a piece of snap-on kit that I have, just for the price of it. Unless Snap-on are watching and want to sponsor me, of course, then I'm happy to take lots of whatever you've got. Just a screwdriver, super strong. It's got a nice hex part just underneath the handle, so you can put a wrench on it. It was left behind when we had something installed. It was a washing machine or something like that, and the guy came in, installed it, and left that and a slip wrench behind. So we didn't notice straight away, and obviously he didn't notice. So we contacted them and said, look, you've left the slip wrench and a screwdriver behind. Yeah, do you want to fly by and pick them up? And we just had a message back saying, don't worry about it, keep them. So I did, and that's a cracking screwdriver, super strong. That's my block plane. I'm going to get myself a good quality block plane one day. I'm not worried about the surface rust, I can deal with that. But the adjusting screw is plastic, and you tighten it or loosen it, and it wobbles, so that it moves around, so the blade shifts. So essentially it's a real bolt screw, but then I'm pretty sure not just all plastic. And then the plastic is almost on the end like a cap, and it's been over tightened. This was again another one of my dad's. I'm gonna get myself a decent block plane one day. Birthday money maybe, or so many other things. I have two marking gauges. This one costs about £1. In the southwest of the UK, there's a discount superstore, usually out of town, called Trago Mills. And I picked that up from there years ago, and I still use that. A little eye hook on the end to hang it up. I think that's what I also got. This one, this mortise gauge. I honestly can't remember the last time I cut any mortises, and I think possibly the reason that this was being sold there as well, they often sold a lot of discounted stuff and things from elsewhere. 2 pins are at slightly different height. So I might get a Dremel on that one day and sharpen the slightly longer one down. Top riveter, amazingly useful for carrying lots of things. And what I was saying about bits, this is full of bits. There's probably got to be close to 100 bits in there. Again, a variety of shapes and sizes. Oh, and there's that one too. Plug cutters. Little surform rasp. Love that. Really great. I use that almost like a block plane, just not quite so tidy. Nail puller. That little tack puller. It's like a screwdriver dented up. Really, really useful. My Irwin flush cut saw. Bargain from Screwfix on one of their sales. Absolutely gorgeous. Love this saw. It's flexible, it's smooth, you can put your fingers on it and saw, and then hold it in place and you won't cut yourself. But razor sharp goes to things really nicely. Great for doing, I haven't got one of those oscillating multi-tools, but if you're cutting underneath a bit of architrave for the door to put some sawing under it, absolutely brilliant. Boat's gone somewhere. Always worries me when I don't know who the dog is. Yes. Right, my crazy dog is just, because she's bored out here now, because I'm not throwing the ball for her, she's now got herself buried underneath a pile of things behind the greenhouse. So, I think I've reached almost the end. I'm going to give her a couple of minutes to see if she extricates herself. From the sound of it, she has. Another Stilson's wrench. This was again my dad's. It's not a branded one. I have used it, but I can't remember the last time. How'd you get? Come on. the screwdrivers that come with things like, I don't know, bandsaw. I think that might come with a screwdriver, and chainsaws, cheap chainsaws at least anyway. And they're okay if you haven't got a screwdriver. If you've got some decent screwdrivers, they're complete rubbish. So there's things like these that I'm not quite sure what to do with. Actually, no, they're there. Nice wide scraper, so useful. Not quite a card scraper, but not far off, and could be, you could round the edge to use it as a card scraper. Seam roller can be used sometimes, needs a bit of a clean, but I seem to have assortments of old kitchen knife. Great for scraping things where you don't want to spoil something else. I have old hairdressing scissors that have been cut off. And again, these are ones from my childhood. Remember those? One of my problems is I find it really, really difficult to get rid of tools. Yeah, this is an old Stanley 199A, which are good solid knives. They're good utility knife. This again is one that was my dad's, and I don't feel a kind of connection to it because it was my dad's. But the blades wobble, so yeah, I don't like that. That makes it feel unsafe, and I think it's just that it's that badly worn. Hey, what? She's managed to extricate herself. She usually does. Sometimes she crawls underneath our sofa. Our sofa is it's not one of the ones that goes all the way down to the floor. There's space underneath it, and she'll have a tennis ball or treats will be in the house, and they'll go underneath, and she'll just crawl underneath, which is fine when she was a puppy, because she can crawl back out. But for some reason now, when she goes in, she tends not to be able to get herself back out. So we have to lift up the edge of the sofa, and get somebody else to kind of help pull her out. Yeah, you daft dog. You daft dog. Right. I think I've reached a point where I'm going to have to take some of the remaining tools off the wall in the Tinkerage. But I've also reached a point where in about 5 minutes my phone alarm is going to go off to say go and put Sunday lunch on. So I think I might call it the morning out here. I'll get the dog in because you want to go in, don't you? Is that what you want to do? You want to go in, don't you? Can you show your face? See, I can see your face. Yeah. No, you don't want to jump up here. So I might call it a morning out here. I'm not overly happy with this arrangement for some of these. There are some of these I need to give some thinking to. I think a hammer rack might be in order. I have to think about whether I do need 2 lots of engineering dividers. Of course, I can see the thing of, oh, if you're scratching out 2 things, different dimensions, and you're doing that repeatedly, then having 2 saves you having to readjust 1. How often I do that, I'm not sure. So I need to get some of the other tools that are still on the wall off. I should do that this afternoon. Try and make some decisions this afternoon, and then think about what I'm going to do about some of these other tools. I'd rather not have a drawer that's just full of junk, screwdrivers. So like this old one here, this is one of the ones you get in your car. I must have had this for 20 years. Yeah, it's a great idea, particularly in a car. It's only Phillips, which you're not going to find posi drive on a car, I know, pretty much. But yeah, it's not great. I mean, it's chipped. Maybe I'll stick that in the metal. I don't know. Maybe if some of the metal workers can tell me, if I heated that up and beat it out, could I make a nice little marking knife from that? Probably not enough steel, to be honest. Yeah, that's what she wants. You ready? Back up then. When you're knocking the tripod over, back up. Ready? Go get it then. I'm not giving you any treats. I think sometimes she brings the ball because she wants it to be thrown. Sometimes she brings it because she thinks she might get a treat. Yeah, a Draper posi drive. The tip's okay, but it's a bit worn. It's one of those. Yeah, they're one of those golf ball ratchet drivers. Ooh, good shot. And I put it in the keep that because it's stubby. Yeah, it's short enough to get in spaces where I haven't got to get other things in. And the fact that it's a ratchet means that you can kind of. Oh, there's the alarm going. Just dismiss that. Right. Right, so I am going to call that a morning. I've got to go and get the dinner on. If I don't do it now, we get loads of birds in the garden. It's fantastic. Except when they nest in the hedge, 3/4 of the way down the garden, and only gets the scent of it and keeps trying to get them. She's got retriever genes. She doesn't want to herd them, but she does want to catch them. So, thank you for watching, and maybe keep an eye out. Maybe this afternoon after lunch has been done, I shall pop out and do another live feed. I'll probably move when the chickens are on, the potatoes are on. I might get a couple of things off the wall, but we shall see. So, take care. Have a nice morning, afternoon, evening, night, wherever you are, and see you all again later. Bye for now. Right, so want to do things on your phone.